Yes, Mr. Dillon.
May it please your lordship, I too, members of the jury, will be short. You've heard the whole of the evidence which we have been able to compress into this very short period of time, and it will have given you a view. Whether you feel that it can possibly have given you a complete view, let alone a complete understanding of the complex problem that you're called upon to consider, may be a very different kettle of fish. Particularly bearing in mind that although we're examining it here in the year 1984, we cannot any of us possibly know what the year 1985 or 6 or 7 may add to our knowledge and understanding of the events that we examine. We've got to examine these facts as far as we can dispassionately, being very careful about over-emphatic and over-positive assertions. Whether you criticize any of my witnesses for being over-positive will be a matter, of course, for your good judgment. You may think that Dr. Pollard was somewhat over-positive on the pre-contract, and Dr. Starkey over-positive on just about everything. And so let's be careful, shall we? Knowing that the subject is one which is colored by emotion and has been distorted by outrages of this kind, and the depiction of Richard III, but this is, I say, not in any critical sense of a great actor, you will understand, but that which is imprinted upon all our memories, I think, Sir Laurence Olivier, in Shakespeare's Richard III. Let's therefore look at Richard before the death of Edward IV, because one cannot ignore the reputation that he had. He's criticized by Mr. Richards for having acquired or disposed of some land previously belonging to the Warwicks. The carving of great estates was almost a pastime of the rich man during that period, quite apart from other events. He's described as being a man of piety, a man of unswerving loyalty to his brother Edward IV, refusing to divert himself from selfless service for his brother and his brother's family, despite, for instance, the treason of Clarence against his brother. Let's examine the commentators upon whom my friend relies. Cann, the Frenchman. I'm not here to denigrate all Frenchmen. It will be understood, particularly in today's climate. Cann, please remember, had perhaps that engaging unreliability which one attaches to the French sometimes. In one part of his history, saying it was Richard who slew the children, and in another part, the Duke of Buckingham. Does that advance our knowledge, that gentleman living at a distance anyway from our shore, quite apart from the other considerations which one would have? Then take the two, because I will leave more till last, upon whom my friend does rely, particularly Mancini and Croyland. The prejudice exhibited by Croyland is well enough summarized. Mr. Richards was kind enough to agree with me in that very short passage. There are many others which I read from the continuation for which the unknown author was responsible. The north whence every evil takes its rise. Is Croyland, with that immense prejudice, to be relied upon? Very well, then let me remind you that this man, at the center of affairs, does not say Richard slew those children. Rumor has it that they were put to death, but no one knows how. I paraphrase slightly, but not inaccurately. Where is the support, then, that Richard was guilty of the crime of murder from Croyland? Then let's turn to Mancini, described by the witnesses as an Italian spy with not good English. Let us accept that that is so. With access, obviously, not to Richard's court, as I think it was Dr. Pollard made clear for us. Some access to Edward's, clearly, but access to the southern view, not to the northern. And our investigation is bedeviled, as Dr. Pollard agreed, in this sense that we have nobody upon whom we are able to rely, save a few scattered remnants of Richard's own letters. There is no northern chronicler to put the other view. Does Moore put the other view? Not on your life. Moore was a boy of 4 years of age at the time of Bosworth. What kind of reliable account can he give then of those events all those years before, save a hearsay one, drawn from those forces who were triumphant, the Tudor ones, and who, so soon as Henry Tudor had conquered at Bosworth, like John Rouse, were busy with paste, scissors, and water, stitching history together again in the way that they wanted it to be read. We lack information, quite clearly, and that will be as obvious to you as it is to us this side of the court. We lack a last positive, concrete information even about the bones. It is appalling to think that we have to learn from Dr. Ross that Professor Wright's examination in 1933, upon which historians relied so completely until 1955, when Professor Ross made his own inquiries about it, is inaccurate, for there is in truth no blood upon the jaw of the elder child, and even if there were, it does not support medically the conclusion that that child was suffocated. Was Professor Wright so misled by the old traditional account of Moore to distort that view, which should have been a purely scientific one? Bear that in mind, then, when I talk to you about Buckingham. Mr. Potter made it absolutely clear, I hope to you, that he is not giving evidence in saying that Buckingham did it. But consider these facts and ask yourselves whether it is not perfectly possible that Buckingham did in fact take the step which, whether it assisted Richard or not, most certainly would have advanced his own claim to the throne. He had that good claim, provided the princes were out of the way. He coveted the throne, and he had the opportunity to, as Constable of England, that senior position, to get into the Tower, if not himself, then through agents employed by himself, to kill the princes. Why was it, can I pose for you the question, that there was no inquiry as to the fate of the princes when Henry VII had ascended the throne? Bear with me, would you, for one moment. If Henry wished to complete the devastation of Richard as a political figure, as a memory in people's mind, if he wished to secure himself against pretenders, show himself to be the avenger of the death of those children, then the first thing that he would have done would be to go to the Tower and make inquiry. The evidence is, and we can only act upon such evidence as is available, that he did nothing of the kind.